In this lesson, we're going to take a look at making change. So this is basically where you work on a till in a place and someone gives you money to pay for an item and you have to give them change back. Or if you're going and buying something somewhere and you want to double check to make sure that you've gotten the correct change back, which is always a good thing to do. I think you'd be surprised how often cashiers get things wrong. I have seen cashiers before that cannot do basic math to save their lives. It's really kind of scary. Even when the till tells them what to do, they often add up or subtract incorrectly and give the wrong amount. So we're going to take a look at this, and I will warn you right now that we are going to do a quiz on this that's going to be on making change, and you are allowed to use a calculator if you want for the subtractions. I'm not going to stop you from doing that. I will say, however, you're going to have a fairly minimum amount of time to answer several questions. So what I'm talking about with that is maybe doing about 5 questions in 5 minutes or 10 questions in 10 minutes. It's not going to give you a whole lot of time, but if you think about it, doing this 1 minute per question, if you were working cash at a restaurant, so let's say you're working at McDonald's and somebody said, okay, I want this, this, and this, and you punch into the till and you're like, that's $7.23, and they hand you a 10. If it takes you 1 minute to figure out how much change they get back or what change they get back, that's too long. The entire transaction is expected to take around 30 seconds. So we need to be able to do this fairly quickly, which is why we're going to time limit that test or that quiz pretty significantly. About 1 question per minute, which should be plenty. The first thing we're going to do before we actually talk about making the correct amount of change is just making sure we know how to round off properly. Since we got rid of pennies years ago, everything gets rounded off to the nearest 5 cents. It either rounds up or down depending on which one is closer. So let's take a look at just the rounding off part here. And I'll go through these fairly quickly, just because I don't think they're particularly difficult. If you round off, you should never be more than 2 cents off the correct value. That's the general way to understand it. So 12.22 is our first one. If we round down, we get 12.20. That's 2 cents off. If we round it up, that would be 12.25. That would be 3 cents off. So we want to round down. And if you'll forgive me, I'm just going to leave the dollar signs out just so there's a little bit more room and it looks a little cleaner. 6.88 is 2 cents off of 6.90, so we'll round up. 7.45. I have seen cashiers who will round that to 7.50 because they say, well, the 4 rounds up to a 5, but it's actually already rounded off to the closest 5 cents. There's nothing to do there. I've seen a cashier round off to the closest dollar because they weren't sure how to do this properly, which is just crazy. $11.53 is 2 cents off of 11.55. 3.41 is only 1 cent off 3.40. 44.44 rounds off to 44.45. 9.26 round down a penny to 9.25. 17.17, that's 2 cents off of 17.15. 213.59, the number of dollars is getting bigger, but it doesn't change the cent part. 59 cents rounds off to 60. And 24.40, same thing. I've seen cashiers round that off to 24.50, but that's just 24.40. It's already rounded off to the closest 5 cents. So I'm going to point out that the rest of the sheet looks very busy, but that's just because it's a lot of pictures. The actual calculations are pretty quick. So each of these columns, vertical columns, is going to basically be 1 question. Here's how we're going to do it. We're going to start by taking a look at the cost of the item, rounding it off. So 12.22 becomes 12.20. That's how much the person owes us. The amount that they're going to give us in the next one is $20. So this first method we're using is subtracting and then adding up. So what we're going to do is say if they gave us $20, subtract off $12.20, and then figure out how much change we owe. So $12.20 subtracted from 20, you can pull out a calculator if you'd like, or if you're decent with mental math, you can do this mentally. People who work with cash should be getting pretty good at this, but because we're not necessarily cashiers yet, we can use a calculator. 20 minus 12.20 is going to be $7.80. So now what I've done below is, if you've ever seen people working with a cash drawer, they pull out bills and coins one at a time. And what we're going to do is basically pretend that we're doing that, and we're just going to say how many of each of these things we're going to pull out. So $7.80, what we should do is start with the largest thing that we can take out and keep adding up until we get to $7.80. So I can't pull out a 20 because that's too much. I can't pull out a 10, that's too much. I can pull out a 5. So that's 5. I can pull out a toonie, that gets me to 7. So I take one toonie out. Now I need the 80 cents. I can't take out the loonie, but I can take out 3/4 to get me to 75. No dimes and 1 nickel. So the $5 plus the $2 gives me $7. Then the 3/4 and the nickel gives me 75.80. And that's it. Now, if you want, you can put down zeros here. I'm not going to really worry about it right now. You'll see that when I give the answers to these, I use zeros just as placeholders so that you know where I am, like which ones I'm using. Because if the answer was just 1131, I don't know if that's 120, 110, 3 5s. Like, so I do put the zeros in. I'm going to pick up the pace a little bit just because I think that this is a fairly fast skill once you kind of get it. And if you need to slow it down or pause it, you're welcome to do so. So $6.80, 88 cents rounds up to $6.90. Subtract $6.90 from $20 and you'll get $13.10. So the change is going to be 10, 11, 12, 13, 13.10. And I think you can see that that's not a particularly like slow thing to do. This should be a pretty quick calculation. 745 doesn't require any rounding at all. The change from a $10 bill should be $2.55. So we're going to do $2, 2/4 to get 50, and a nickel to get 5. $2.55. $11.53 rounds to $11.55. If someone pays you with a 20, that's going to give you $8.45 change. And that would be 5, 6, 7, 8. And then 45 would be 1/4 to get to 25 and 2 dimes to get to 35.45. The last one, $3.41, just rounds off to 340. And if we do 10 minus 340, we get 660. Now, I do want to point out, and I really haven't done it so far, although I think it's pretty obvious. You always want to pull out the biggest thing that you possibly can on these. So for $6, I could just do six loonies, but that's not really an effective way of doing it. I could do 3 toonies, but the best way to do it is to say, what's the largest bill or coin I can pull out, and then pull it out. So that would be the 5, and then the 1. And likewise, for 60 cents change, I could put 6 dimes, but that's not the effective way to do it. The effective way to do it is say that with 60 cents, I can pull out 2/4 and 1 dime. And the goal should always be to give the minimum number of coins and bills as change. And if you always take out the largest one, it should work. Okay, so that method, not too hard. We do the subtraction to figure out how much change we owe, and then we just add up to that amount of change. Now there is another way to do it, and to be honest with you, I'm not going to be able to see which way you're using, so I don't care which way you use. And if you're getting the answers correct on a, like if you work at a place that on cash and you're getting the change correct, I don't think the employer really cares which method you use. I'm just presenting an alternative way in case one of these ways clicks with you better, and you find it easier. So the first method was calculate the change by subtracting and then add up to that amount. This one is just add up to the amount given. So you'll notice that I don't actually do any subtraction whatsoever, which can be a benefit. So what I'm going to do is just round off my number first of all. So 4444 becomes 4445. And then what I want you to do is let's add up to the even dollar. So we're at 45 cents. What do we need to add up to a full dollar? And again, try to think of the biggest coins we could use. So 45 cents plus 1/4, well, plus 2/4 would take us up to 95 cents. A nickel would take us up to $1. We're now at $45. How do we get to 50? Another $5. And now that we've done that, we can add up what the total change was. It was $5.55. So you'll notice that we actually got the change without ever doing a subtraction. We added up, and then we just looked at what we added up, which was $5.55. Let's try the same thing with $9.25 once it's rounded. How do I get that 25 cents up to $1? I could just give 3/4. Okay, so we were at $9.25. I've now got that up to $10, so that I give $10 more for a total of $10.75 change, which is the amount we would have gotten if we subtracted. So both methods tell us how much change we're giving and tell us which bills and coins we're giving. This method just does it without the subtraction first. If you want to pause and try these on your own, please, by all means, feel free to. 1717 will round off to 1715. I think with 15 cents, I can fit 3/4 in there. 15 plus 75 is 90. Another dime takes us up to an even dollar. We're now at $18. In order to get to $50, from $18, I'll get up to 20. And from 20 to get to 50, I need a 20 and a 10. So that, if I just look across, that's 20, 30, 32, 85. So again, no subtraction required, and we're getting the right answers. Okay, this next one. This one's a pretty big one. We're getting paid with $300, $300 bills. So this is going to be $213.60. To get my 60 cents up to a whole dollar, I have to add 25. That gives me 60, 70, 85, 95, $1. So there's my under $1 change. If I've added that up to the next dollar, I'm now at 214. Let's go to 215 by adding a loonie. 220 by adding 5. From 220, I can get to 300 by adding 3 $20 bills. Sorry, 4 $20 bills. So yes, 220, 120 gets us to 240, 220s gets us to 260, 320s gets us to 280, 420s gets us to 300. And then we just add up those amounts. So 4 times 20 is 80, 85, 86, 86, 40. And then the last one, no rounding required. If we want to get from $24.40 up to $40, the first thing we have to do is add 60 cents. Well, that would be 2/4 and a dime. That takes us from $24.40 to $25. 25 plus 5 gets us to 30. 30 plus 10 gets us to 40. So the total change would be $15.60. And again, you can do any of these using the first method or the second method, whichever one you like better. Um, there's kind of a way of getting your brain to do it that's a little bit of a hybrid of the two, but whatever works for you. As long as you're getting the right answers, I'm happy. So remember, your goal here is to give the correct amount of change and do it with the smallest number of bills and coins possible. Okay, I'm going to let you practice these. Now, actually, sorry, we'll do a couple more first just to give you this idea. I pointed out that if we want to do these questions, I mean, this method here where, you have pictures of all the bills is a little bit tedious, especially to make questions or if you're trying to write out an answer with all those things. So what we're going to do is we're going to shorten it. It's the exact same thing that we were doing before. We're just shortening it a little bit. And instead of having pictures of the bills, I'm just listing the different bills and coins. And then we're going to just write how many of each we put beside it. So for this one, 35.49 would round off to 35.50. And then I'll use the first method we saw, which is subtract and then add up the change. So if I subtract 35, sorry, what were we paid with here? Oh, it's written up here. We're paid with a $50 bill. So if we're paid with a $50 bill, 50 minus 35.50 is 14.50. So we did the subtraction first. And now we add up to 14.50. That's going to be a 10, 2 toonies, and 2 quarters. If I want to do the other method, rounding off 261 is $2.60. If I want to add up to 50, I'm going to have to go from 60 cents up to the next dollar, which is 1 quarter, 1 dime, and 1 nickel. That takes us from 60 to 70, 85, 95, $1. So we're now at $3. To get from $3 to 50, I'm going to add $2. So that gets us to 5. I'm going to add $5 to get us to 10. And then to get from 10 to 50, I need 2 20s. And from that, I can now calculate the change, which is 45, 46, 47, 47, 40. So you'll notice the way that we wrote number 1 and 2 is identical. We have all the same categories. We have like the same rounded amount, the change amount, all of the different currency amounts. So I can't tell from your answer whether you use method 1 or method 2. And like I said, I really don't care as long as you're getting it right and you're giving the smallest number of bills and coins possible. So what I'd like you to do is try a bunch of these. Use the method of your choice. If you can, try each method once or twice so that you can kind of see which one is better for you, which one you like better, and which one's giving you the answer more oftenly correct. But give those a shot. It looks like there's a lot there, but realistically, these are pretty quick. So the time it should take you to do 20 of them, probably more like 10 minutes, but shouldn't take you any more than 20 minutes. And the answers are down here. You'll notice that for the answers, I give you the rounded amount, the change, and then the things that you're given back. And I put the zeros in again as placeholders. So the first number represents number of 20s, then 10s, 5s, 2s, 1s, 25 cents, 10 cents, and 5 cents. So when you're comparing your answers, just realize that those zeros are there as placeholders. Give those a shot. If you've got problems, let me know. Otherwise, I will see you in the next lesson.